whatever sector it is, what's out there for financing? You know, we had a real hard time with financing, couldn't get money. Our debt service coverage ratios were off. We had to put in more equity, and there's still guys that are losing their shirts, losing buildings. What's going on?
Yeah, I think it's more of the same. So if we go sector by sector, the agencies are not very competitive today. And what we're seeing in the multifamily sector is we're seeing a resurgence in insurance companies in the market providing financing at very favorable terms. The favorability can be in the form of a lower rate. Favorability can be in the form of devoid of prepayment penalties. It could be some semblance of structure. So I think the insurance companies are active across the board. CMBS is relatively lights on. We've seen an incredible rallying of spreads. So because we have a high base rate, in part, and because we've had this massive boom in private credit, which means a bubble in private credit for all intents and purposes, because we had this huge rotation out of equity into debt, we're seeing spreads narrow dramatically. In the last couple of days, I've heard spreads between 90 and 130 over for core assets with modest leverage, 50 to 60% leverage on both retail shopping centers and apartment assets. And so we're seeing spreads come in dramatically. And so CMBS is lights on, which means you can theoretically recycle out of your bank loans into CMBS. The other thematic thing I'd be looking at, or another theme I'd be looking at, is that I think private equity is going to backstop the banks. So we're seeing a venturing between the banks and private equity shops to deliver financing, because the banks want to reallocate their balance sheets away from commercial real estate into C&I, less risk, less exposure, less to explain. And so I think we're going to see more of that over the next 3 to 5 years, which is a proliferation of private credit venturing with banks to deploy equity and debt, I should say, into the markets where the banks are probably going to participate at a substantial lower level.